All right, guys. Today is March 10th, 2024. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live, Season 1, Episodes 1, 2, and 3. Save the spoilers for the last 45 minutes of the hour-long stream, guys. So if you're watching it on the replay, obviously spoiler warning. But we're super excited to talk about The Walking Dead Universe, let alone especially The Ones Who Live. So I'm still enjoying it. Some stuff is kind of, but overall it's great. It's a great show. It's probably the best spinoff there is. Daryl Dixon is a second, Dead City's third, and then whatever you want to do after that, World Beyond or Tales or Fear the Walking Dead or whatever. So I apologize if you hear any air blow or something. My neighbor's doing the yard maintenance crap on there too. So today is March 10th. You don't know if I'm winking or blinking, but I'm definitely thinking about The Walking Dead Universe. I'm One Eye Bry, also known as PT. So what else are you watching? Are you excited for anything going down? Other shows, movies, stuff there too. So first 15 minutes, keep it general, and then we'll give the spoiler warnings for the episode. So the latest episode is Season 1, Episode 3. So the first one is titled Years. The second one is Gone. And this one is Bye. And, we'll get into the spoilers there, too. So the first two episodes, we lost characters. And, they like to bring characters in, have them serve their purpose. Because the ultimate thing about this show is Rick and Michonne being reunited. And now we know that they're reunited, but Michonne, is in danger. Rick is working his way up the ranks in the CRM, which is kind of funny because everything would be Rick would be, so luckily Okafor is this guy that was saving Thorne and Rick, and they're both A's and A's. So for the longest time, A's and B's and A's and B's and what do they mean? What do they mean? What do they mean? What do they mean? Everybody's freaking out about it. And A's are eradicated, basically. They're leaders. They're people that just could go against the CRM. And it's kind of laughable when that's what it was. B's were workers. Great. So you're only going to you're going to narrow it down to type A and type B. Type A personality. We all know what that is. A strong leader type person that likes to run the show. They're, maybe stubborn, hard-headed, but they are a leader. They get stuff done. Type B personalities are the easygoing, go with the flow type of thing. Maybe they have leadership qualities too, but not as much as type A's. And they broke it down into that, and they give us the explanation of things too. And it's some answers. That's what we're looking for. We're hoping that we're getting answers in The Ones Who Live. And are we really getting them? Kind of. So we're trying to get, it's nice Rick and Michonne are the lead people in the show. And they're definitely the best part of the spinoff, but also major parts of the Walking Dead universe. It just feels right. I don't know about you guys, but when I watch it, I'm it just feels right when you watch Rick and Michonne. Denai and Andy, you just believe them. You just believe what they're doing. You just believe it. It's awesome. And I'm excited to see the future of that. And I really hope we get more than 6 episodes with these characters. Whether it's another season, whether it's another spinoff, whether it's another show, whether it's another this, whether it's season 12 of The Walking Dead. But I want to share a possible fact, got air quotes, from the TWD Universe network on Instagram. They wrote, Scott Gimple on the possibility of a season 2 of The Ones Who Live. It's one of those never say never situations, but I also didn't want to tell people how the story ends. So who knows? Maybe after seeing the end, you'll be like, oh yeah, they can't do another one because of X, Y, and Z. He also mentions in his interview, Source TV Insider, that there is a lot of interesting plans for the Walking Dead universe. He believes it could go on for as long as Star Trek, which I find it very interesting that he quotes Star Trek. And there are a lot of things currently on the table. They're just possibilities as of now, and Scott Gimple is also working on a comedy series, not in The Walking Dead, but will include Walking Dead actors, and he says it's someone we won't expect. So, yeah, nonsense other than that. So, it's interesting that he talks about Star Trek, and that's why I believe in my red theory more and more and more and more and more and more and more, because of the red shirts. Red shirts come from Star Trek. I'm not a huge Star Trek fan. I'm more of a Star Wars fan than a Star Trek fan, but Star Trek's okay. Now, that's what being said is when the red shirt, literally, they're wearing a red shirt. They are out with Kirk, Spock, whoever. The person in the red shirt's going to die. That's basically where my red theory came from. And it's interesting that he talks about Star Trek. And Gimple, to me, puts stuff in the shows for reasons. The producers, the directors, the executive producers, the people that put stuff there. And in the first 2 episodes, a lot of newer characters, aka red shirts, also have died. We lost Okafor, we lost Aiden and Bailey, and we lost Nat. So it's interesting to me that, the symbolism and all this stuff, and it's stuff to me is done for a reason in the Walking Dead universe. I know you can put up a different thing there. You can put up a red sign or a red tablecloth or a red pole or line, whatever, especially when Okafor has a black outfit that has the red markings on it. Like, what do those red markings mean? Like, why not white? Why not silver? Why not reflective? Why not anything? Why not just black? Why not just entirely black? But it just connects in so many ways, in my opinion, too. So, Latte Cheeto Q&A. Do you think Michonne mentioning the bow staff in episode 2 was her choice of weapon was using the bow staff in episode 4? Easter egg, Black Panther character. Oh, that's a good one. The big thing was Morgan. People were like, oh, Morgan. But I like the idea with Okoye. That's pretty awesome. Maybe. A lot of people are thinking that, too. So the bow staff is basically a stick. It's what Donatello uses in the Ninja Turtles. And, Morgan sharpens his, so it's like a spear, and he turns it into like a halberd or whatever. And it's just like a bunch of different things, a hybrid weapon. And it's pretty cool. Like, I like that idea. I never really thought about that way, but I love Denai Guerrera. Michonne is one of my favorite characters. I think she's my favorite character, and she's been for a long time on the show, and I love Denai and met her a couple times, and she's really awesome. So I just am excited every time I see them, and every time I see Rick and Michonne interact, and we get to see this, and we get to see that, it's just awesome. Like, it feels good. Like, when Rick left the show, it wasn't the same. The Walking Dead wasn't the same. It was still decent. It was pretty good, and Daryl and Carol and Negan and stuff. Everyone else, picked up the slack a little bit where they could. But it just is like, we need Rick, Michonne, Daryl, Carol. Like, we need them to team up and go against the CRM. Like, the CRM are terrible, right? Jadis is terrible. Major General Beale is terrible. Like, I understand the secrecy, and I understand the nonsense with some of the stuff they're doing, but you don't have to just be so bad, so in episode 2, when they dropped the chlorine gas, the yellow gas, they just dropped it on them because Michonne and that group was getting too close to Philly. Well, like, you could put up roadblocks and you could put up things that people can't get by, or you could put up checkpoints, right? Like, you didn't have to just bomb them. You could have just stopped them. I don't know. But it's just one of those things where they did what they did, and they go that certain way. And some of the things are, like, good. I'm really buying into the story, and it's making sense overall. But some of the stuff is like, Yeah, Carol. So, well, like a bow staff, you have to have good leverage, but you can swing it. A katana, you're not going to swing. A katana, you basically hold like this on the bottom and by the little part that covers the blade, so you don't slide up on it, and you have to like slice down on it. The moves are kind of similar, but it's more like a bow staff and like a spear are more similar with the moves. But you see Michonne, I don't want to talk about the episode just yet, but she has similar moves that she's used to with the katana that she uses with the I forget what they called it. Like it's like the stick thing, the little metal thing that has the spear tip on it that Rick was using to kill the walkers. But we'll talk about that, more when we talk about spoilers there as well. But I like it. I enjoy Are you guys liking this series so far? Like, are you enjoying it? Because majority of people are enjoying it and they're liking it. But some people right in the comments on YouTube are like, not impressed. Nope. Not impressed. Hasn't done anything. And you're like, well, what do they need to do? Like, what does the show need to do? Like, I don't know what else they could do. Like, would you want to bring Morgan and Daryl and Carol and Negan and Maggie and this and that? That's not what these spinoffs do. These spinoffs, yeah, it's like they call it a death stick. Yeah, so it's basically the spear thing, the metal, I'll call it like cattle prod or the prod or whatever. It's like there too, but it's a good thing that just like it slices into the zombie skull and then like you twist it and then you break free of it too. So, but I don't know what else the show has to do to draw people in. Like Rick and Michonne enough should draw fans back. Because we've been asking and wanting and waiting for Rick and Michonne. Well, just Rick by itself, because initially it was just Rick, right? So Rick was going to be. I don't know how good this show would be without Michonne. Because like Rick by himself is awesome. Don't get me wrong, and Michonne by herself is awesome. But like it really works with them too. Like imagine if it was just the Rick movies. Like, how would the writing be different? Because there's no love story, or would there be a love story? Would Rick be in love with some other woman? Would it be Thorne would be the love interest? Like, that would be terrible, right? And Thorne kind of annoys me. Her accent, it's kind of hard to understand her. And I don't know why she has to be South African. Like, she has to talk like this, Grimes, and she's like this, and I can't understand what she's saying. And it's just like, it's like nonsense. Like, it doesn't need to be that way. She didn't have to be from South Africa at all. She could have been English or something else. Like, it didn't have to be there. She was in a foreign navy, so I guess that's what they were going for. But it just, the accent doesn't work a lot of the times, in my opinion. Latte Cheeto Q&A, what if they did a what if Walking Dead, like Michonne going to Texas, like Morgan? Yeah, I mean, I've always liked the what if idea, but then they're really copying Marvel, like if they do that. So, I mean, there was talks they were going to do like a cartoon or something or animation or something like that too. So it's just kind of interesting too. So yeah, some people like it, her accent, but overall it's just kind of nonsense. It's just it's unnecessary. So we all know that Jadis is back because in episode 2, and it's explored more in there. And so we have Rick, Michonne, and Jadis from the first 3. The main 3 characters from The Walking Dead. Now, are we ever going to see other characters from The Walking Dead universe on this show? We haven't seen them yet, and we're not going to see them in episode 3. But I really hope in the final 3 episodes, because again, guys, after today, we're halfway done this season, which sucks. Which is like, oh man, it's halfway over. Like, we have 3 episodes down, and I'm like, oh man, I wish it was like 8. I wish it was at least 8 episodes. Because it's really good. Like, it's really interesting. We find out more information about stuff, and, and it's just cool to see because, I saw a lot of information about the filming and photos, and people sent me stuff because it was filmed in New Jersey, which is pretty cool. I'm from New Jersey. They were filmed more in North Jersey, but I'm from South Jersey, and it was a cool thing to see that they were in there. And so Dead City is planning to film in Massachusetts on April. So I think they're reporting April 1st. and they're going to start filming April 8th. So a week after that is potentially when they're going to start filming in Massachusetts too. So it's definitely something I'm excited to see about the filming potential of that and where they go further. Just because they're filming in Massachusetts doesn't mean that it's going to not be New York, because it's Dead City. So that's where New York is, and that's where they're trying to be the city. And so we'll have to see what happens with that for New Babylon and all that stuff as well. So, all right, guys, that's our 15 minutes of non-spoiler stuff. So if you are worried about spoilers, stop watching now. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. So episode 3 plays with time a little bit. So we see years ago when Rick got to go to the CRM of Philadelphia, the CRP, and he has his day there. You know, he gets his little first time to go there. And he's walking around in his CRM jacket, and he's got his jeans on, he's got his boots, and he's got everything there too. And he's walking around, and he looks around, and you see the windmills and the turbines and everything. Do you call them turbines or turbines? I've always called them turbines, but I know some people call them turbines. But it's like the propeller things to make the energy. And so he's looking around, and as he's walking, a lady looks at Rick and says, "Can you pass me a napkin?" And it's Jadis. So, and they had this little flashback. You're like, oh, just in case you didn't know, that's Jadis. It's hilarious how they spelled it out for you. But Jadis is eating French fries. You're not a fry guy? And it's just she tries to be funny. And she has longer hair. So we know that this was when they initially got there. She definitely is the reason that saved Rick and brought him there. And so she's been trying to check on Rick and help him. And so she was doing the consignment stuff, and she was working there for a month trying to wait out when Rick would be there. So we get to find out some story about Jadis and trading people, and he set up the community of the people that were lost, and she was sending people there. And it would have been great if she mentioned Heath at all, but she doesn't. And she just talks a little bit more her backstory. And Rick is like, you brought me somewhere that I can't leave. So he's not happy about it. And then Jadis is like, well, you're alive. I could have left you on the riverbed. I could have done this, blah, blah, blah. And Rick's pissed. And Rick's just like, I'm leaving. I can't do this, blah, blah. So then they have the little argument. And then it's a couple hours or something different. And it's when after Rick gets back, after bringing Michonne in, he goes to talk to Thorne. And it's after the helicopter and stuff, and Thorne's upset, and Rick's like, look, I need you to take care of this woman. She saved me. He doesn't tell anyone that he knows Michonne. He doesn't tell anything about there, but he needs Thorne to help Michonne, because if Rick does it, he won't be able to say this, and he won't be able to do that, and he's getting too close to her, and that's not what the CRM wants. And so Jadis says... Well, no, sorry. Thorne and Rick talk a little bit, and then Thorne goes and helps Dana. And someone brought up a good point. It would have been great if she called herself Andrea. It would have been a nice callback to The Walking Dead, but it's Dana. And so Rick, and then it jumps a little bit now. It goes to now when Rick is talking to Jadis in his apartment. So it jumps around a little bit. It's not that confusing, but he jumps around, and then he talks to Anne, or Jadis. And Jadis says, she's here. That I think you see her deleting the videotape of Michonne's interview, or blanking it or something. And so she's kind of protecting Rick and Michonne. But she says to Rick, "You want to kill me, don't you?" And Rick says, like he said to Negan, "No, I'm not going to kill you today." Yeah, but yeah. So, and Rick had a chance to kill Negan. Slit his throat, cut his throat, whatever you want to say, and then saved him. Is that what's going to happen? Is it foreshadowing? That's what Rick's going to do with Jadis. But Jadis is smart, and she says, look, if I die, people are going to have the file on you and Michonne and all the people you care about, right? So you have to keep her alive. Jadis was pretty smart and says, look, if you kill me, your family's in trouble. If you and Michonne leave, I'm going to be the one to come after you. and we won't stop until we do that. Then plus we're going to kill everybody you know. So then Rick's still tough. Like Rick can't just leave. So Rick is like, crap, you know. So he comes up with a plan. And he's coming up with stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then he's kind of stuck. And then Jadis leaves. And, you know, it's kind of that tension in the room. We see Michonne is killing the walkers like Rick was. They set off the charges to attract the walkers, and they're doing this. And again, I don't know how there's so many walkers. Like, I really don't know how it is. But either way, there's still so many walkers, so many years left in there, too. And Michonne is killing walker after walker after walker. And there's this one woman that becomes friendly with Michonne. And they talk, and Michonne tries to hide who she is, and this and that. And there's a pile of walkers that weren't killed all the way through. I don't know how you don't kill the walkers with the death stick thing. But either way, she saves the woman, and she like spears the walker head and pulls it off. And then there's another walker coming behind the woman. Like, I don't know how that's possible. But either way, she throws the walker head and takes out the other walker. And she's like, yeah, you can take care of yourself, blah, blah, blah. So clearly, Michonne is like trying to act like she's a bee and she's not a badass and she's not this and she's not that. But the true Michonne comes out, and it's tough to hide on there too. Also, on the intro, they have all the same intro stuff. And then when it says the ones who live, at first it was Rick. And then the second episode was Michonne. And the third episode here, it was Rick and Michonne. So we'll have to see what they do for 4, 5, and 6. So Michonne is doing her thing, and it's all. Also, I thought was interesting is that there's a Grimes, and it says like 68. So I was like, what is that? But then I guess it's not really explained. But I guess it's the number that Rick killed at one time or something. It's like a record. Is what I got out of it. That's what I'm guessing. So it kind of jumps around a little bit and this and that, and Rick sees Michonne there. He goes there and checks on her. And they can't talk and they can't interact, and it's kind of tough. So Rick gets Jadis knows that Michonne was there, and Thorne vouched for Michonne or Dana, and so Jadis knows that Rick is smart and trying to get things together with Thorne. So you see the wheels in motion. Then we see the not funeral, but like ceremony, something, whatever you want to call it, for Okafor. And there's a casket, but his body was destroyed, so I don't know what that was. I guess it's just a ceremony or a remembrance. So Major General Beale takes out a sword, and it's a saber or something, or maybe a sword. I don't know what it actually is, the name of it, but he talks about the history behind it and all this stuff, what it's meaningful to them, and they talk about Okafor and how he saved people, and you know he got off mission and did this and then that and all these things. So then Rick talks with Thorne, and as they're talking, Thorne was talking about like a ghost ship that was a cruise ship, and she got on there, and Okafor saved her and talked to her. So they would talk about Okafor a little bit and blah 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 blah. And then as they're talking, Major General Beale comes over to them. And he hands a book to Rick that is all red. Like, you can't miss it, right? Does it have to be red? No. Was it? Yes. The spine is black, but the covering of the front and the back are red, which I thought was interesting. So, read into it what it is. We'll have to see what happens with Major General Beale and Rick. But, yeah. So Major General Beale talks with Thorne, and Rick goes back to his apartment, and he waits there, and Thorne talks to him and says that she was promoted. So she's the new Okafor, basically. That was kind of fast. But either way, she got promoted, and she is got the gear and the whatever, and the red gear and everything on there too. And so she got all this information out of Major General Beale and all this stuff, and she worked her way up, and now she's the commander person like Okafor was, which happened pretty quickly, but you know, it's all right. 6 episodes, so they have to expedite some things. So then Rick actually ranks up too and becomes this and that. So Rick tries to come up with a plan, and he has a couch cushion, And he has all this crap in it, and he takes all this stuff out. And then he gets his jacket and some wire and then everything. And he comes up with the idea to have him and Michonne escape. But it's not for them both. It's just for Michonne to get away. Because Rick knows that he has to stay back because they can't both escape. Because Jadis will know and they'll keep hunting them. So it just can't work. So Rick comes up with a plan and writes the stuff down, blah, blah, and passes a note to Michonne when she was killing walkers. And she goes along with the plan, goes to the locker room, opens up locker so-and-so, gets a flashlight, gets this, and there's a little something extra in there for her. It's her katana, which is awesome. It's nice little moments like that are great. So Rick goes there before with this gear, goes through it, and they're setting off these charges. And so as they're doing that, the walkers will be around, so people will be not around to stop Michonne to get away. So Michonne goes along with the plan, but we see Rick go in there and the walkers that are in the little turnstile thing, and she does this, and she goes to the actual water. And so he uses his jacket, the CRM jacket, to make look like Michonne is the walker in the water, ripped off the face and did everything there too that we find out later. But Michonne goes, and there's a canoe, a red canoe, by the way, and there's a note in there. And as Michonne has the note, it reads, I can't come with you. I have to stay back to protect you. I can't do this, so you have to go away. This is the only way. And Michonne reads the note, and then it stops. And then goes to the next scene. The next scene is Rick talking with Jadis. And they meet and they talk. And they say, look, she got away. You need to protect her. You need to say this. She's going to leave. I didn't leave. I'm going to stay here. And she's like, how do you know this? Blah, blah, blah. Because I set this up. I ripped the walker's face off. I did that. I used my jacket. We see the plan unfold what Rick did. So Jadis says, okay, why would I do that? And Rick goes, well, you saved her too. You're a hero. And it's just kind of funny how he's not respecting Jadis whatsoever. And I love the back and forth, and it's pretty good. And he also says, you have a stupid haircut, which I was like, yes, thank you for someone talking about the nonsensical haircut that Jadis has. Like, it's laughable why she should have that stupid haircut. It's like buzz it off or just grow it out a little bit too, right? So, but it's funny. It's just laughable, and it's just Rick, no nonsense. So Rick goes to check on what Thorne actually pages Rick, and Rick looks at his pager and goes to the spot where they're killing the walkers. And Thorne and Rick are watching the workers kill the walkers, and Michonne is there. So she never left. She didn't go in the canoe. She didn't go along with the plan, and she's pissed about it. Basically it's like, how could you leave me? How could you not come with me? How could we not do this together? We have to try together. Because Rick knows that they're not going to stop, and Jadis, because at this point, Michonne doesn't know that Jadis is there. Only Rick does. So Michonne doesn't understand what's going on with this on there too, and she doesn't understand probably some with that why Rick's not going along with it. But Michonne is there killing the walkers, blah, 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 and Thorne is trying to figure out this Dana chick and what's going on. And so they come up with a new plan now to have Michonne join them in their group now. So you have, the A's can bond together. They can be what Okafor wanted. And so it would be Thorne, Rick, and Michonne. But the other time, Michonne's walking around the marketplace. And she's walking around and she sees stuff and she's doing this just like Rick walked around the marketplace at the beginning of the episode with Jadis. Now it's Michonne. And so Michonne walks around in the area, and she comes across where the etching is on the iPhones. It looks like it's paint now, like not actual etching into the glass, but Michonne meets the artist. And the artist remembers Michonne. And they talk about this and that, and how he wanted another painting like all the time. And he didn't talk, and Michonne's more talkative than he was and stuff. And it's just nice little moments. You're getting the answers behind the glass and the phone and everything. And so he's like, yeah, he wanted you and Judith, so it was Michonne and Judith. And the artist remembered her. And he wanted another one with the boy, and it was Carl, she references. Carl, because again, Rick doesn't know about RJ. So it wouldn't be RJ, it was Carl that he was referencing. And it was just nice little moments like that too. And Michonne says thank you for it. It was really nice. And so it was just a nice little moment, and we got some more answers about that. But we kind of knew that because we saw the filming. We saw the set that was being prepared there in the park. So we saw that was going to be answered too. Carol, Q&A, if they weren't going to let Rick know about RJ, wouldn't it be pointless to let Michonne meet the phone etching guy? I get a bit discouraged with Rick's attitude. It would change for RJ. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they really didn't answer it. Michonne could have said it in episode 2, but they're going to wait it out. And I'm guessing when Rick and Michonne are alone, they'll talk about it, either episode 4 or 5 or maybe 6. But I would assume it would be in the next episode or 2. And so I don't know. I don't know why they waited it out and kind of stretched it out, but that's what they're doing. And I believe Michonne wrote and or directed or some sort of involvement with episode 4 coming up. I know because she's an executive producer, and just so is Rick. But I don't know if she wrote it or produced it or directed it or something with episode 4 coming up. So that's nice little moments with that. And then Rick and Thorne and Michonne go into their secret meeting spot where Okafor was. And the way they show it now, we see that that's Lincoln Financial Field. That's where Okafor bombed the stadium, killing his wife, killing those Marines and those military personnel that were going to attack the city. It's because you see the goalpost that's down, you see the seats, you see all that too. So that's where the Eagles play in Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field. So it was kind of cool to see a little bit more there too, and it was explained a little bit more where they were actually meeting, because I didn't really pick that up in the first, first episode, and I don't think it was really showed well. So, but Dana, aka Michonne, aka Dana, meets with Thorne and Rick, and they have to act like they don't know each other. So Thorne is asking Dana questions and this and that, and it gets a little heated. And Thorne is not Okafor. She admits that, and she says that too. And she takes out her knife behind her back. And as Rick sees that, he takes his gun out and he's ready to protect Michonne. So there's a little heated exchange, but at the end of it, Michonne says, yes, I would like to work with you guys or get the answers. And Thorne is like, okay. And she puts her knife back in the sheath. So Rick puts his gun away, and Thorne's like, you drew your weapon. You did this. Well, I was going to protect you. I didn't know how it was going to go down. I didn't know how it was. But push came to shove. I'm sure he's shooting Thorne instead of Michonne, right? There's no way that he would have chose Thorne over Michonne. So, so Lindsay says, Michonne did write episode 4. Yeah, thank you. So I knew it was something like that too, which is awesome. So I'm hoping episode 4 is great. I think it will be. I think episode 4 will be the one with the helicopter, Rick and Michonne in the building. They attack the building and stuff. So we'll have to see what happens with it, because it's kind of starting their escape in the next episode. So Rick and Michonne and Thorne, talk, and they set this up. So Michonne's going to join them, and she's going to be a consignee of Rick and Thorne. And so, because Thorne is the new Okafor, she's running that group. Rick is there, of course. Now Michonne's going to be there involved, but she's not going to have a gun. She's going to have one of the death stick things. So, also, Jadis, I think, has Rick Thorne has a mission to go to the Cascadia or whatever, the Cascades area with the mountains and everything. So they have to go there, kill all these walkers, get it free, get it set up, get it good, because they're going to have a big meeting there. Major General Beale and the powers that be. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but that is the great way to set up the meeting, their summit or whatever they're calling it, which will probably be episode 6, I would assume, for to have Major General Beale and anyone else that they need to bring in. People from Portland, people from the Commonwealth, people from France, people from anywhere else, the world beyond. Now, that would be the area to have that. That would be the 6th episode, but I'm not saying it'll happen, but it could. And that's probably going to be the big meeting that'll be in the final episode. So they go there in the helicopter and they fly there. And Michonne's like, this is in the middle of nowhere. What's protecting here? Well, it's a supply area and it's this, and they're trying to expand and they're trying to do that. But it's like nothing's around there. So Thorne is basically like the new person in charge. And she wants to show people that she was the right choice. And she's the leader. And she's this and she's that too. So, sure. But we'll see, what it's going to be for, them to work on. So Michonne is there in the background, and Thorne is like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to kill all these walkers. We're not going to use guns. We're not going to attract more. We're going to use, like, knives and this and, like, these other weapons that are, like, you could have just used the bayonets. Like, I don't know what these new stupid weapons were. I don't know what the point of this thing was. But either way. And again, it's Rick's team to go do it and whatever. So Michonne has to stay back, and Thorne is basically running the show. And so they had this weird cart thing that's a bomb that's going to kill all these walkers and whatever. And it's kind of like really stupid. But they go in there, and they're trying to move it, and Thorne can't move it because it's stuck in the mud. And Rick's killing walkers, and the other CRM people are killing walkers. And, it's just like kind of over the top. And so Michonne's like, she goes to move it, and Thorne's like, stay back, do this. Or Michonne's going to step up and use her death stick because she has like not even a katana or a spear or anything. It's just like, I don't know. So they think about it as like Michonne has to stay back, but she's going to step up, and she does too, right? So at the end of the day is she grabs the thing that Thorne couldn't move, and it's like this black cart thing with these big wheels, and she's pushing the cart, and she's moving it through, and she's pushing it, and she's like moving it kind of good, but then someone else helps her pushing it, and it's Rick. And as they're pushing the cart, walkers are exploding. It's kind of laughable, right? And it's just like a metal cart thing that's got a divider with the thing, and she's pushing it, and walkers are like, like they're exploding as they're hitting it. But either way, they get to a certain point, they put it there, Rick hits a button, it starts beeping, Rick and Michonne run away, they hide behind a tree, there's an explosion, Rick and Michonne kind of kiss and do whatever, and they're talking about it there. And they're like, it was kind of a nice little moment. But then they come back to the group, and they're killing walkers. And Thorne is like pissed because Michonne disobeyed her, right? It's that insecure boss that is like, I have to say the word. I tell you what's up. I am the leader. I am the person in charge here. So Michonne is killing walkers with her death stick, and so is Rick with his spear hand thing. And then Thorne actually aims her gun at Michonne. And it's the quintessential, like, will she do it? Will she not do it? Right? And you're like, you ain't killing Michonne. If you killed Michonne, that would be the stupidest thing ever, right? So Rick sees this, and he kills a walker and steps right in front of Michonne to protect Michonne. And then Thorne lowers her weapon and like, get back, get through this, blah, blah, blah. And so it's this whole big thing. And then they go back to the military base area, and Thorne is saying, you disobeyed this, you did that, blah, blah, blah. I want you to go back, take consignee Dana back, or Methune, or whatever her last name is, her made-up name. And they're like, take her back now. Rick's like, okay, I will take her back. We'll do this. Maybe she needs more training. She needs more this. Rick's like, whatever we have to do to protect her, save her, whatever. And get her out of here on there too. So then Jadis shows up, and Rick is talking with Jadis, and Jadis is like, I'm here now. I'm full time in Cascadia. This is my spot now. This is where I'm going to be. No more doing this. I don't need to be so far away from Philly and blah, 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 and all that, whatever. And so Michonne is putting stuff on the truck, and Jadis looks over at Michonne and says to Rick, "Yep, well, she hasn't seen me yet." And then seconds later, Michonne turns and sees Jadis and is like, there you go. There it is. So then Rick walks away from Jadis and blah, 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 and walks over to Michonne. And Michonne's like, is that Jadis? Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. We're going to do this. We're going back. We're going to go back to the town and get out of here. So as they get back on the helicopter's flying in the bad weather, the stormy weather. And Rick is here sitting across from Michonne. And as the weather is kind of getting, bumpy, and they both put their hands up and grab the bars. Michonne opens the door, grabs Rick, and jumps out the helicopter. So I'm guessing they got a parachute or water or something, and they're safe. Next week, we get to see Rick and Michonne being safe somewhere in this building. Michonne's like, we needed a timeout. We had to talk about things. We had to do things like that too. So Michonne grabs a kitchen knife, puts it in there too. We see the helicopter attacking the building kind of thing. They're running down the hallways. It gets kind of crazy. And so some big things are coming up. So everyone lives. No one dies. So the first 2 episodes, we had some pretty big deaths. This episode, no one dies whatsoever. So we'll have to see what happens there. And so Rick and Michonne jumped out of the helicopter, and we'll have to see what happens there too, because Rick and Michonne just can't leave, right? So what's the end game for it? I don't know. So Michonne developing her own plan here is risky. She doesn't know all the dangers that Jadis possesses there. She doesn't know all that stuff. Rick does. So that's going to be probably them talking about it, what it is there. And so, they can't just kill Jadis. They have to, I don't know. It's like they're stuck in this corner, which, is a good thing too. So, Brian Q&A. Hey, Brian, do you think Beale wants all the CRM leaders and frontiers at the summit to kill them all so he can blame it on Portland? He does this to secure another 2 years of power and stop leaks. Yeah, I don't know. So, that's a good question, Brian. So, the big thing I would assume will be in episode 5 or 6 is that Rick and Michonne have to probably go there to see what happens at that meeting. But are they going to just kill everybody? Right? Are they going to actually just get a hold of everybody? Is someone going to get away? Is it Jadis getting away for the umpteenth time? But Major General Beale is kind of doing what he wants to do, and we'll have to see how things play out. But I think that's going to be the big season series finale, is Rick versus Major General Beale and Michonne versus Jadis kind of a thing. I don't know how Thorne fits in, but Thorne, I'm guessing. So we're not sure if Thorne's going to sell Rick out to save her butt or help this or not, but it'd be interesting to find out. And so that's the first 3 episodes that we've seen so far. We have 3 left, and each episode has just been just under an hour. So they cover a lot of stuff in each episode, which is great. It's not, even if it was 10 extra minutes, you can cover a decent amount of stuff on there too. But every episode has kind of had that kind of cliffhanger moments going into the next episode, which is good. It makes you want to see what's happening next. Where do Rick and Michonne end up? The helicopter's going there after them, but so, as far as they know, Michonne grabbed Rick and fell out of the helicopter. So they would know that Michonne is the one that did that. So they would go after Michonne. They don't know that Rick knows her, and it was okay. I mean, it wasn't okay to do, but it was still a thing that, Rick's going along with it somewhat. So I'll have to see how that plays out, and, it's just interesting too, so. But yeah, overall, I'm digging it. It's good too. So I'm excited to see, what happens. And, Gimple, I mean, it's probably because of Andy and Denai, this show is so good, and Rick and Michonne is so good. But, Gimple's the showrunner. He's doing a pretty good job. I think it works. I think it's definitely one of those things that it's a good thing for us, for the Walking Dead universe. It just works on there as well. So I don't know who's going to show up in the final 3 episodes. Will anybody else show up? I'm still waiting for World Beyond people. I'm still waiting for stuff like that too. So if you think about the stuff that makes sense, like there's weapon or gasoline caches and fuel depots and weapons this and all that stuff too. And one of those, if you look at the opening, you see one of the spots that are right around Maine, where like Daryl and Carol was with that little outpost thing. So I hope it's explored more, because like the CRM, you need people. Like, people are a resource, and Rick actually quotes that to Jadis. And just killing people isn't the answer. Like, you have to have people's skill sets for that too. So it's definitely something that, keeping people around is important. You can't just kill. I mean, you can do whatever you wanted. But I mean, there should be no reason that Rick was kept alive. He tried to escape like a million times. Not a million, like a couple times. And if they have zero tolerance for it, Rick would have been killed a bunch of times. But, the story is what it is. Some stuff makes sense, some doesn't. Overall, it's pretty good and interesting, and I'm liking it for sure. Brian Q&A, when do you think we'll see Silas? We need more walking World Beyond connections. I don't know. I hope Silas shows up. I hope people from the World Beyond show up. Like right now, I don't like I would assume that Rick and Michonne need people on their side. And they don't know Silas. Silas doesn't know them. The Bennetts don't know them. Elton and those people don't know them. But I would love to see those connections. I would love to see stuff from the World Beyond, and really anything with the Walking Dead universe showing up that we've seen before. Mostly the World Beyond makes the most sense. But I just don't know. Right now, it's been Rick and Michonne, and now Jadis is involved. And then it was the other characters. So we met Okafor, killed off. We met Esteban, still around with some job. We met Thorne, still around. We met Nat, Aiden, and Bailey, all dead. We met Aiden's sister. Could they be involved with helping out too? We don't know what's going to happen per se, but if it's wishful thinking that Rick and Michonne could just go into any of the CRM stuff and just take it over, just dominate, just kill them, just go in and do that stuff. I would assume the sword that we saw Major General Beale really be all about will be going against Rick when they fight. I would assume Michonne's katana is going to come in to play and block and stop Major General Beale's sword, and there should be an epic fight scene with that. I'm guessing. But stuff is done for reasons. They show stuff for reasons. They're showing stuff here and there for a reason. It makes sense for stuff to be there. So they bring in characters to serve their purpose. And unfortunately, Okafor, Aiden, Bailey, and Nat serve their purpose to get to this point. How does Thorne fit in? Because I'm guessing we're all rooting for Rick and Michonne to live, to escape, to get away. But how can they escape and go back. And also, Michonne, several times in the episode, gets on a radio. We don't see her. We hear her talking to Daito, who is Judith. It's Daito and Shoto, which is long sword, short sword. Daito is short sword, I believe, for Judith, and Shoto is long sword for Michonne. So how does she get a radio and just be able to talk to Judith or reach out to Judith? Isn't that kind of dangerous, right? I mean, there are just code names and they're not giving away locations or anything, but how is she able to do that? Not really explained. But either way, they show that Michonne is still trying to reach out to Judith. She's not just giving up and be like, oh, you're on your own. Judith doesn't ever answer. We don't hear her voice. But it would be nice to hear something there too. So Brian asked, why do they keep doing the stupid code names? It's terrible. Well, it's to protect them. Like, if Michonne says to Judith over the radio, like Judith and this, and gives information away about names and locations, potentially, it's all about safety. It's all about protection. It's all about not giving away anything that the CRM could use against them. Because if the CRM, I don't know how the CRM hasn't found the Commonwealth yet, or how they haven't found Alexandria yet, or how they haven't done anything yet. I don't know. But it's so it would be really great at the summit thing to see who shows up there too. So we'll have to see how it unfolds, how it plays out. But when I said the thing earlier about the season 2, I'll say it again. I don't know if you guys were here or not, but I'll say the thing from TWD Universe Network on Instagram. So Gimple talking about the possibility of season 2. It's one of those never say never situations. But I also don't want to tell people how the story ends. So who knows? Maybe after seeing the end, you'll be like, oh yeah, they can't do another one because of X, Y, and Z. So, and then he also wants it to be as long as Star Trek and all that stuff too. So he wants to be as long as possible. Of course, you want to stretch it out as long as possible. You want to make as much money as possible. If you're an executive producer, if you're a showrunner of a no show and another show and this, and you're the chief content officer of an area, you want as many projects and as many things as possible because you're making that money, baby. It's all about making that money for you, your family, the network, AMC, production, AMC Plus, all that big. Making that money. That's what it's all about. But we don't need nonsense. We don't need Walking Dead in the name, like Fear the Walking Dead. Nonsense. Walking Dead World Beyond was okay because they covered things a little bit more, but, I have to see. Will we see Major General Beale's son? Could he show up? I don't really care either way, but he may be little connections here and there. James asked, am I excited for WrestleMania? Not really. I don't really care about stuff there, The Rock coming back and this and that. It's in Philadelphia, by the way, but I don't know. Brian, Q&A, I thought Michonne was thinking of that conversation. I don't know what conversation we're referencing. But, so either way, the show is exciting. It's interesting. It's keeping me involved. And are you guys enjoying it? Because I think it's really good. I'm excited. It's definitely something that is making, and it's a shame because it's only like 6 episodes. And like The World Beyond got 10 episodes of nonsense. Like that should have been 6 episodes. Right? No? Because like, I don't think the first season got good until like episode 7. The one that Michael Cutlass directed. 6 or 7 or whatever it was. So if it was 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're talking about 4 episodes were good. I'll give you a 6. Do whatever you want, and then 6. You should have brought it here, the 10 episodes. Or like 12 episodes, 2 seasons kind of a thing, And then just filmed it all together. So you had part 1, part 2, season 1, season 2, whatever. Because if the Daryl show is going to be a summer show, we're not going to have any Walking Dead. Because after the Daryl show airs. Because this show is done on the 31st. March 31st is the last episode. So we're not going to have any shows of The Walking Dead April, May, potentially June. July. I don't know what it's going to be for the Daryl show, but is that August? Is that what they're going to try and do? August to October? July? Well, I don't even know when it's going to air yet. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Christy Haydock, love Rick and Michonne, but how did Michonne keep the radio charged? I don't know. I'm not trying to think about stuff like that too. Like, we have to suspend belief. Like, it's not realistic. It's a zombie apocalypse show where Rick and Michonne found each other over the United States, and like, stuff doesn't add up. Stuff doesn't make sense. Morgan walks or drives or whatever, gets from Virginia to Texas and finds the people in Fear the Walking Dead. Like, come on, right? But it is what it is. Stuff happens, and we just have to suspend belief too. So, Derek Sword, Q&A, do you think there will be more seasons since this has been so successful? I hope so. I hope it's good. It's just one of those things where, like, they would be foolish just to end it in a way, because I think it's doing really well. So I hope so. I don't even need another season of this show. Like, I don't need The Ones Who Live season 2. I just need Rick and Michonne to be on a show. Like, I don't care if it's this show or another show or a spinoff or The Walking Dead season 12. I don't care. I just need them on another show. I need them still alive, doing well. Like, I don't want them to die, but, the way this show is kind of going, one of them's got to live to get back, to escape, and to do those things too. And if the way it's going, does Rick die to sacrifice himself so Michonne can get away? And then Michonne knows that she did her best and she found him? Like, does Michonne have to... What would make Michonne happy? Obviously, getting away with Rick. They continue on. They go back to the Alexandria or make it to the Commonwealth or whatever, and they live a happy life together. But what if that's not in the cards? Would she be okay with Rick dying? I don't know. I would assume if it's got to be one of them, right? Of course, I want both of them to live. But if it's Rick or Michonne, who do you think dies? Who would you want to die? Because I don't want either of them to die. None of us do, right? We want them both to live. But it makes more sense for me that Rick dies and Michonne lives. Just for multiple things. But I don't know. It would be really hard to know that Rick lives and Michonne does. I think, and I also think that Andy Lincoln is like, I'll be back for these 6 episodes or 3 movies what they were going to do, but I need to die at the end because I'm going to sacrifice myself. So they're like, I don't know. Like, I would think how it would be. Exactly. I think Andy is done with the Walking Dead universe. And I think no way, because it's like Robert Downey Jr., right? He was done being Tony Stark, Iron Man. And the only way to truly have that, and yet people still keep asking, is to be like, he died. Like, he died. Well, what if it's before? And what if it's the Secret Wars? And what if it's this? And what if it's the prequel? And what if it's that? He can come back. They can come back. They always come back. And this isn't like some regenerative stone power thing that someone can bring someone back. But, with Rick and Michonne, comic book stuff, zombie apocalypse, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, so if Rick dies, then that's your answer. He's done. He's done with the show. Rick's dead, so it's done. And Rick dies in the comic. Michonne doesn't. There's just a lot of things that make sense. So I'll have to see if it was foreshadowing that Rick says that he wanted to kill Jadis. And he says, yeah, not today. But yeah, so we'll have to see how it goes down. But overall, guys, another good episode. 3 episodes in. All great episodes, good stuff. And they're doing a great job with it. I don't know if it's worth the wait because it's been so long, but I'd say it's worth the wait, and it's really good. So there you go, guys. I think the Oscars are tonight or something. I don't know. I don't care. I don't watch. But we'll have to see how that goes. And but enjoy tonight's episode if you haven't seen it. Episode 3, titled Bye. And no one dies, so it's okay. But thank you, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. Derek Sword Q&A, when is the next book coming? So which book are we talking about, Derek? Because I got my main book series, Fight For Us, is 20 books, and that's done with the end. So if I continue on with it, it'll be a new book series. And Brian, last question, Q&A, do you think story fans are too clingy and need to let go more? I think some people are. I think no matter what happens, they'll never be able to let it go. But I think it's, and I get it, but I think all good things must come to an end. And, I'd be fine with them ending it there too. So, all right, guys, that's my time. Enjoy the episode tonight. Thank you for being a part of it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And remember, with hard work, dedication, belief, and sacrifice, you can truly achieve your goals. Believe in yourself. You can do it, whatever it is. See you guys. I'll be back next Sunday. And